This is a podcast all about Bears. You either cheering for this team or just pulling your hair. I like to take a minute, just sit right back and tell you how I became the #1 Bears fan. That boy is Benny Hunter. Cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. And Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Like always, I'm joined with my lovely co-host, Isaiah Frey. How you doing, Isaiah?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there. And then once again, joining me once again on the podcast is Austin from the Bear Necessities of Chicago Bears podcast. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Hey, hanging in there. You know, after after last Thursday, I think most Bears fans are starting to panic, and that's where I kind of want to start off this episode of Keek on the Mic. Just give me your guys' reaction to the loss against the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. I'll start with you, Isaiah.
First and foremost, it was a boring game. It was not fun to watch, but that's been the norm for Thursday night games, so it was expected. As far as the Bears, it was disappointing to watch them lose that game. I felt like, they battled, but it just wasn't enough again. They have a lot of holes they need to fix. Offensive line being the main one. They're just not getting it done right now, and it's unfortunate to watch. That and stopping the run, man, is what's killing them right now, and they need to fix it fast.
Absolutely. How about you, Austin?
Man, I think summing it up like Isaiah just did while saying it wasn't fun to watch. I think that's a good way to put it. The red zone issues, I think they are unfathomable. Like I would have never even expected this. I mean, this is, that was the Matt Nagy specialty the past couple of years, was having these continuous red zone issues. Now they're prevailing into this second coaching staff. Makes me think that might be something to do maybe with the roster configuration. Guys like Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet not getting, barely any touchdowns throughout their career so far. They're hitting 3 years. This should be the time they're catching touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
It was just awful to watch again. Man, I church, and he actually did 2 punt returns in college. He was mostly a kick returner in college, which he was very good at, by the way. But something punt returner, just not getting it done for us.
Yeah, and just like you said, Austin, it's frustrating because the Bears are getting there. They're getting to the red zone. They are just not finishing. And obviously watching Velus Jones muff his second punt this season was also a heartbreaker, because you could definitely tell his confidence went out the window after that. So the Bears have a lot of holes to fill. And just like I was telling Isaiah before this podcast, is what I've been telling Bears fans, my listeners, is welcome to the rebuild. This is what a rebuild looks like. It's not going to be pretty. The Bears are going to lose a lot more games in this fashion, unless all of a sudden the offense comes to life, right? Because the defense is up and down. Like you said, Isaiah, the tackling is a big issue for the defense. They can't stop the run, so they have their issues as well. But in terms of offense, something has to give. Something has to give in the red zone. You're getting there. Just finish the drives.
Yeah. I think you get inside that 5-yard line, man. Touchdowns should be the only thing on your mind. Like field goals inside the 5 to 10 is not good. It's not good enough, especially with a team like this. You got to take all the points you get at this point. You know what I mean? So you can't leave points on the table. Yeah,
at that point you would have took a field goal. Right. Like it's like you don't want to walk away from no points in the red zone, right? And the Bears just did not execute. And obviously it was a frustrating loss for the Chicago Bears, but now, they get a chance to either redeem themselves or embarrass themselves on Monday Night Football. I don't understand why we are playing primetime once again. Is there a way that we can flex out of Monday Night Football? Because I don't think I can watch this team play a primetime game again, right? Usually the Bears, especially in recent years, play terrible on primetime football, but they travel to Foxborough, Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots, right? The Bears are 2-4, losers of 3 straight. So they're trying to get that monkey off their back. But they're looking to snap this 3-game losing streak against the New England Patriots. So before we move on to today's pregame show, what is your guys' reaction What are you guys' initial reactions to this game against the New England Patriots? I'll start with you, Austin.
Man, it's gonna be a tough one. I'd love to come on here and say that everything's gonna be resolved and that everything's just gonna click. But as the season kind of wears on, I'm starting to lose that enthusiasm that I kind of had at the beginning of the season. It's hard because with Bill Belichick, yeah, I mean, like obviously Tom Brady was a big part of his legacy and everything like that, but he is still one of the key contributors to the modern NFL defense. And he has given so much to the game. And like when you go up against a legend like Bill Belichick, it's hard for me to think that we're going to score more points than we did on the Washington Commanders, right at home. I think we will. I think we will. It is a little bit of an anomaly, but it's going to be a difficult game to say the least.
Yeah. How about you, Isaiah?
I agree. We spoke before the podcast, man, and Belichick, that's what he does, man. He feeds on young quarterbacks, and this is a game that's going to be easy for Justin Fields. I will say, if he does have success against this team this week, that's a big good sign for the Bears, man. That he can go out there and compete against Bill Belichick. But if like Austin, if I had to say, I don't have the best of faith in this week. Be honest.
Yeah. You know what scares me about this game? I was, watching some videos, and then Bill Belichick pops up in my feed, and it was Bill Belichick pumping up this Bears offense that has done nothing. He was like, Justin Fields is this and that. They have a lot of good young players. Darnell Mooney. I'm like, this is a trap. He's doing that on purpose, and it scared the living hell out of me. And I'm like, oh, there's no way he's pumping up this Bears offense, right? And this game makes me really, really nervous. It really does. Once again, the Bears don't play necessarily well on prime time, especially in the last couple of years. And it's freaking Bill Belichick. And it's just a scary game for the Chicago Bears, put it that way.
Yeah. Tom Brady does that same thing. He'll go on the podium and hype up the defense he's about to play before the week. It's just what they do, man. It's just try to make you feel better than you actually are, and then they go out and just feed on you, man.
My favorite quote from that Bill Belichick statement that he put out, which I read the entire thing too. It was mentioned to him, Velus Jones. He goes, "Great young talent," and I think he is good. I think he's good, but that wouldn't be the first thing to come up to mind over the past couple of weeks this season. So good job by him.
Yeah, I think the one thing that he did get right is the Bears are young. Yes. I don't know if we're great young talent right now, but they are young. That is a true statement. So we'll have to see on Monday night. So just a little quick matchup background on this matchup against the New England Patriots. The Patriots have won the last 5 meetings against the Chicago Bears. The most recent matchup was a 38-31 loss in Soldier Field back in 2018 when the Bears were actually good. I'm not sure if you guys remember that game. That was when we still had Kevin White, right?
Yeah.
I think it was Mr. Trubisky threw a Hail Mary. Kevin White caught it on the 1-yard line, and we got stopped. Inches.
1 yard short.
1 yard short of the goal line. So that was a pretty classic game. Obviously, the Bears are 0-3 on the road this season. The Patriots are winners of 2 straight. Bears are losers of 3 straight. And the Bears are 8-point underdogs, which is a very fair spread because the Bears offense can't find a way to score. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But like I said, Monday Night Football, primetime, they get a chance to hopefully redeem themselves. Hopefully Justin Fields comes back and bounces back. For me, I just want to see him stack these games. And like Isaiah says, get 1% better each week. That's all we can ask.
Definitely. That's literally all we can ask at this point. Nobody's thinking playoffs or anything of that nature right now. It's just see improvement every week, man. That's all we need to see right now.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to the key injuries of this game. And surprisingly, the Chicago Bears had no injuries to report. So they are fully healthy at the moment. Things can change in the next couple of days, but they are fully healthy going into this Monday Night Football matchup against the New England Patriots. And one of the big guys that's going to be coming back, to me at least, is N'Keal Harry. Should be good to go to play against his former team. And there's going to be a lot to talk about heading up to this game. Obviously, N'Keal Harry wants this game. He wants to prove the Patriots wrong. He wants to prove the doubters wrong. And he just wants to prove to himself that he belongs in the NFL. So I'm excited for him and this opportunity that he's going to have on Monday Night Football. And he should be hopefully a big target for Justin Fields, especially maybe in the red zone. Maybe he will help us in the red zone on some of those jump balls, right? And then looking at the New England Patriots, obviously it's up in the air, but it looks like Mac Jones with the ankle injury, he's expecting to return on Monday Night Football. And obviously Isaiah and I were talking before the podcast, and that may be a good thing. Because like Isaiah mentioned, it wasn't like he was playing necessarily good before he got hurt. So what's your guys' reactions to these injuries?
Well, I think obviously the biggest one is Mac Jones. Him coming back, it'll be interesting to see how he plays. Because their backup quarterback. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Zapp or
Zappy? I think.
Is it Zappy? I think it's Zappy. Yeah.
Zappy. Okay, he had been playing well. So
yeah.
He's gonna be a little rusty, and that's gonna excuse me. That's gonna help the Bears out a lot. Sorry, my dog, he don't like what I'm saying right now.
He doesn't like the Bears. He's putting his 2 cents.
Packers fan.
Right.
Man, I actually do agree with you guys. I think that it's honestly better for us that we're playing Mac Jones. Not that, I mean, in everything considered, Mac Jones is probably a better quarterback than Bailey Zappi, right? But Bailey Zappi's been on a hot streak. Yeah. Mac Jones, I think the big thing that might help us is that he's very immobile, and he's also coming off of a high ankle sprain, if I'm correct. And I don't know if you guys have had a high ankle sprain. They linger. They can be pretty painful for quite a long period of time. So he's probably going to be even a little bit less mobile there. Maybe a little bit, off tempo with his receivers. I don't know if there was an update to it, but I also saw that Aguilar was a non-participant in one of the recent practices. So having him, really their top receiver, potentially, being doubtful for the game, that's big for the Bears too. I think that the Bears are clearly in a more favorable position since we don't have anyone on the injury report. But I mean, to keep everything in consideration, we do have Cody Whitehair on IR still. So he's not going to show up on the injury report. But that's obviously a huge hit for the Bears there.
Yeah, something to look at in this game, when I was doing the research on my podcast notes before we started recording, is where the Patriots really win is in the trenches. They have a pretty good offensive line. They protect their quarterback. And that's going to be up to the Bears defensive line to get after it. Try to get pressure on Mac Jones, especially with that high ankle sprain. We're not sure how he's going to look on Monday night. Of course, he wants to play. And if they do, in fact, play him, we don't know how that ankle is going to hold up, right? But the Patriots offensive line has looked pretty good. And the Bears defensive line hasn't looked good all the time. So we're going to have to see what the plan is. Hopefully we can get a little bit more pressure. There was times against the Commanders where for the first time, Isaiah, they actually sent it looked like an all-out blitz, to get Carson Wentz. And I really enjoyed seeing that. They sent Brisker on that safety blitz, and they got to him in seconds. And I think that's what Bears fans want to see more of.
Yeah, and he got home too. That was a well-timed blitz by them. Like you said, they need to do that more, man, especially with how bad their D-line is playing right now. They need to get them some more one-on-one so they can get their confidence up. And then, at that point, you can start to call whatever you want.
And this might be a hotter take, but I think this defensive line is one of the worst units on this Bears team right now. I think it's right there with the offensive line, very bad.
I do not disagree with you. They're not playing well at all. All.
Yeah, and I know this may be a little bit off topic, but I was already thinking about doing my off-season video, because at this point, I think the Bears, especially if they lose this game Monday night, just tank, right? Try to get the best pick as possible. And I was like, you know what? If we were in a situation to get Jalen Carter from Georgia, I think I would take him at this point. I really would. I know we need a receiver. I know we need offensive line, but if he's the best player available, we need defensive line as well.
Yeah.
There's a ton of great D linemen up there at the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's crazy how we talked about in the beginning of the year was, we were kind of worried about the young DBs, and we talked about, Kyler Gordon and how, he wasn't playing well in the beginning, but we spoke earlier before the podcast. He's getting better.
Yes.
And I think a lot you can attribute to his non-success in the beginning of the season is because the D-line wasn't getting it done. But he's starting to get better now. The rest of the secondary is actually, starting to get better. It's time for that D-line to improve. But if they can't, like you said, they got to start looking elsewhere in the draft and hopefully improving that unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a welcome sight for the secondary because that was a weak point last year, right? So that's good that the secondary is coming together and those young guys are getting opportunities. And that's the great part about this Chicago Bears football team. It's going to be a lot of losses, but I think it's going to benefit them in the future that they're getting this experience, right?
Yeah.
So I'm all in all, I'm still excited about the future of this football team. It sucks to watch them lose, but I think the future is definitely bright for the Chicago Bears for sure.
Yeah, and I think that kind of what you were saying, Isaiah, I don't know if there's a group on this Bears team that I feel more confident in going forward than that DB room because they have a good mix of vets or, experienced players. I won't call Jalen Johnson a vet. I mean, he's still young in his career, but a guy like Eddie Jackson paired with really young talent like Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker, I feel really good about that. Like that's the one thing I feel like I don't, and even Kindle Vildor has played so much better than last year. Right. So yeah, that's the one piece where I'm like, okay, at least we have this figured out. Right.
Yeah, for sure. And before we move on to our X factors, I do want to ask you guys this question because it's been kind of bothering me as I'm watching these Bears games, especially as it pertains to the defensive line. I'm not really understanding why Travis Gibson is not getting more reps. And I'm just not sure if Muhammad is just beating him out for those reps, but when Gibson is on the field, it looks like he is far more productive. I'm not sure if you guys want to follow up on what I just said, but to me, it looks like Gibson may be the better fit at that DM position.
Yeah, it's hard to say because neither one of them is what I don't know too much about either one of them, but what I do know is when Gibson gets in, he makes plays. So I'm not sure if it's a contract situation or what, but at this point, it's like, man, best man needs to play. Honestly, it's like I don't know, but it goes back to your point on Sam Mustipher. Like, why aren't the best players playing right now? And we're trying to out.
It's kind of funny because when the Bears signed Al-Quadin Muhammad, pretty much whenever the Bears sign a player, my first thing to do is I go on Twitter and check what like the opposing, like the fans from, which isn't always the best way to get your information, by the way, but that's what I do. Right. And I saw, and one of the top things that I remember seeing was like, Eberflus is going to play this guy no matter who's behind him, and he's going to play him a lot. And that's exactly what he did in Indy. And kind of fans had a similar discussion as we're having now. Like, hey, these young guys they seem to be better. It seems like to me, I don't know if this is a fair thing to say, but it seems like he maybe overvalues the practice reps because it seems like to me, like when he was talking about, oh, why is Lucas Patrick starting over Tevin Jenkins? He said it was about practice. And I think that's a good way to, motivate these young players. But at the same time, when it comes down to game day, yeah, I'm taking Tevin Jenkins over Lucas Patrick. And I wonder if it's a similar situation there.
Yeah, the coaches have to get past that because, before you joined, Austin, Isaiah and I were having a conversation, and there's no way in hell that Sam Mustipher is the best center on this team.
No.
We signed Lucas Patrick to play center, and I don't want to get on a huge rant about Sam Mustipher, but he is not good. He hasn't been good. And, they sit here and say, you know what, we're looking at everything. After the loss to the Commanders, like we're going to look at every single player. If Sam Mustipher is a starting center on Monday Night Football, you didn't look at every single player. There's no way. No way.
And I don't know if you guys saw this, but and I don't like looking in the past, right? With like some of the previous moves, but James Daniels hasn't allowed a sack this year for the Steelers. So he's like PFF, take what you will from it, but he's like the 8th ranked guard, and he's played center in the past. When he was at Iowa, he played center. Wasn't that good for us, but even having maybe a Jenkins, Daniels guards, and then putting Cody Whitehair, which he's not a great center, but he's better than Mustipher, right?
Absolutely,
100%.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see if there's changes made. Obviously, Flu said after that game that they're going to look at every single position. So we'll see if he's a man of his word. Obviously, Isaiah, you played for the guy, so obviously his tendencies more than we do. Do you think he will in fact make these changes?
I think at some point he will. I think it's going to take a breaking point. I think this game this week, depending on how the outcome is, might be the breaking point. So yeah, I expect to see changes soon. We hope it's this week. Personally, I don't think it will be. I think it might be after this game. But yeah, definitely.
Eberflus got to see Justin Fields' head in the defender's hand before he takes out Mustipher. Is that what you're telling me, Isaiah?
Exactly. He's gonna get. Yeah, if you see a defender on the Patriots carrying around like this, then that's his breaking point.
I think this Mustapher guy isn't really good.
Right, exactly. It's gonna take
They'll get that.
So now we're going to move on to our X factors, and I know we're each going to have two guys, one from each team. And Austin, I'll start off with you.
So, for the Bears, I kind of struggled here. I really do want to say Justin Fields, because I think that's going to be such a big portion of this game is just how he performs against Belichick's defense. I think that might be a weird player like Justin Jones, though. Like if we can get good interior pressure on this team, I think that puts us in a favorable situation. And then for the for the Patriots, their X factor, I'm gonna say Matthew Judon. I fear that he might do some damage to this defense, to this offensive line.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree with both of those guys, especially Matthew Judon going against Braxton Jones. That's actually one of my key matchups for today as well. The guy, the pass rush for the Patriots has been pretty good, and it's led by Matthew Judon. He has 6 sacks, 20 pressures in the last 4 games. So yeah, Braxton Jones hasn't looked entirely all that good, especially against the Commanders. And don't get me wrong, the Commanders have a really, really good defensive line. And this is going to be another tough test for a guy like Braxton Jones going against Judon.
Seriously. And breaking news, guys, the Panthers are trading Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers.
I saw that. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's if he can stay healthy, that's dangerous for sure.
Definitely just seen that. That's wild.
Right on air.
How about you, Isaiah?
For the Patriots, I'm going pretty cliche. I think, we got to see how Mac Jones is going to be from injury. He hasn't played in a few weeks, so that's going to be, it's going to be a storyline to watch. How the Bears can get the pass rush going on him is going to be key. Like Austin said earlier, man, he had a high ankle sprain, so he ain't going to be able to move in that pocket. So his mobility and just watching him, move around in that pocket is going to be something to watch. And if he's able to get the ball out quick, then, he'll have some success. But the Bears need to get pressure on him. Yeah. X factor for the Bears, I'm going with the Bears receivers, specifically Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, because I feel like though like Mooney's numbers have improved these past couple weekends, he's not making those plays he needs to make as a number 1 receiver, along with Cole Kmet. So I'm looking for them to make a couple more plays this week. Granted, they're not getting the best time to run the routes because the O-line is not doing their job, right. But they need to place with Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's crazy because Mooney has definitely played a lot better, but when it matters the most, people would have remembered that catch to win the game, right? No one cares about the 5 catches you made before, right?
Right.
You have to make that catch. And he came out after the game and said, you know what? The whole series, I was telling myself, I hope I get the ball. I hope I get the ball. So he has the right mindset, the right mentality to be a wide receiver number 1. He has the confidence, but right. He has to finish that play.
Definitely.
Right?
I agree.
So I definitely agree with you. And obviously one of my X factors is N'Keal Harry. You brought up the receivers. I know there's not a lot of expectations for N'Keal Harry, but that's why I'm kind of excited for it, because it's a fresh start. And I think especially when we get to the red zone, I'm excited to see how Luke Getsy and the Chicago Bears offense uses N'Keal Harry. So hopefully that gives Justin Fields a guy he can throw up to. He can win those jump balls, right? So I'm excited, but I definitely agree with your point on the receivers needing to step up.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I also one of my X factors is also Mac Jones as well. With that high ankle sprain, it's not like he moves anyways. I definitely expect them to run the football to help him out. So obviously, it's going to be the Bears' job to hopefully be able to stop the run and make it a long night for Mac Jones if, in fact, he does play on Monday night. So we will definitely see. So we're going to move on to our key matchups. And Isaiah, I'll start with you here on the key matchups for this game against the Bears and Patriots.
I have one key matchup, and it's Bears D-line versus the Patriots O-line. Yes. That is the key to the game right there. I spoke about Mac Jones earlier, But the D-line for the Bears have to get pressure, and they have to do a better job stopping the run. I think, them along with the linebackers as well. They're just not getting it done. And this is what the Patriots do, right? They're gonna run block. They're gonna get in your grill, and they're gonna drive you downfield. So when you do get opportunities to go down and make those plays against Mac Jones, you got to make them, man. You can't leave any of those plays on the table against them.
No, not at all. How about you, Austin?
I have two here. I feel like the way Belichick is going to try to attack the Bears is really limit the downfield passing for Justin Fields. I think that he's going to really try to force him into playing a more efficient game, which isn't necessarily his strength, taking the check down, taking what's given to him. He's going to try to confuse him. So my first one is Fields versus Belichick's defense, which I think we've talked, quite a bit about. And then my second one is Mooney versus Jonathan Jones. Jones has been a really good corner for the Patriots this year. And I don't know what Belichick scouts, but he just knows how to find DBs. He's really not that great of a drafter in a lot of other areas, but with DBs, he understands it, and he just gets this guy, a plug and play guy, and he's been fantastic for them this year.
Yeah, those are both great key matchups. And obviously I kind of want to hone in on, the Justin Fields versus Bill Belichick. I know that I told Isaiah before the podcast is that, most of the time Bill Belichick ran defenses are usually pretty consistent and pretty good, right? He's been a coach for how long? I don't even know. It's been a long time, right? He's going to challenge Justin Fields, right? And I expect them to maybe put a spy on Justin Fields because he's like, you know what? We understand at the moment, Justin Fields' biggest strength is his legs. We cannot let Justin Fields out of the pocket because I can admit the one time Justin Fields looks the most dangerous is when he gets outside the pocket. He has more time because there's no pressure in his face, right? He can choose to throw, run. Most of the time he'll run, but it's going to be a tough matchup for Justin Fields. But one thing I want to keep an eye on for this game is Bill Belichick ran defenses, right? Usually have trouble with mobile quarterbacks. They've had trouble with Lamar Jackson this season. Obviously, it's Lamar Jackson. He rushed for, I think, over 100 yards this year. A couple times they played, who is it? I said his name, Josh Allen. A couple of times they played Josh Allen. They had their fits with him. So I think maybe they can take advantage of that, but I don't think it's going to be easy for Justin Fields to get outside of the pocket because I think Bill Belichick will definitely have a plan for him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. He's gonna keep him in the pocket. That's gonna be his whole game plan. Like you said, everybody knows Justin Fields can scramble and get out the pocket, and that's when he's most dangerous. So that's one thing Bill Belichick does. He finds what you do good, and he takes that away from you. So for Justin Fields having to make throws from the pocket this weekend, that's the only way he'll probably be successful. And to go back about how long Bill Belichick has been coaching, he actually was a coach for Lawrence Taylor. So it just goes to show how long he's been coaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah.
And you brought up, Isaiah, that, Justin Fields got to make throws in the pocket, right? Make plays, but his receivers have to make plays for him too, right?
Definitely.
And I think that's like this misconception. I did a podcast today talking about who is the blame for the Bears offensive struggle. Is it Justin Fields? Is it, Luke Getsy? Is it the offensive line? Is it the playmakers? I feel like it's a little bit of everyone. Everyone needs to come together, right, and do their job. That's one of Bill Belichick's famous lines. Do your job.
Yep.
Right? Execute. Make plays. Justin Fields, you need to get better. Get rid of the ball quicker, right? Whatever you need to do. Darnell Mooney, make those big plays. Offensive line, give Justin Fields time. And Luke Getsy, call the right plays. Put your players in the best situation to succeed, which there's been many times where he has, right? We just didn't execute against the Commanders, right? So everyone needs to do their job.
Yeah, and I think just kind of like summing up what you're kind of saying, Keek, is like everyone's taking their turn, right? It's just like everyone on every play is taking their turn at who's at fault. When the offensive line only protects for you, I think it's like 40% of the time, and your wide receivers only get open 25% of the time. I mean, you're playing with pretty, poor statistics because that's, 40% times 25%, it goes downhill quickly from there. So you're putting Justin Fields in a really difficult situation. He shares some fault, and I think everyone kind of recognizes that at some point, but it's like almost how can you blame him? He's a second-year quarterback. I mean, look at what Zach Wilson is surrounded by. And I mean, if you want to look at a quarterback that, in my opinion, is a lot less impressive than Justin Fields, you can look at Zach Wilson. In the I forgot who they were playing this past weekend. They ended up winning. Oh, the Packers. Yeah, the Packers. Zach Wilson did pretty much nothing, and he has, I mean, their wide receiver room is miles better than anything what Justin Fields has.
Absolutely. And before we move on to the 3 keys to a Bears win and our predictions for today's video, I kind of want to ask you guys the same question. With talent around Justin Fields, if in fact, because I know there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of things coming in saying that, maybe Ryan Poles won't want to keep Justin Fields, which I find it hard to believe. I think he still gets all this year, obviously, and all of next year as well. If Ryan Poles does his due diligence and surrounds Justin Fields with real talent and a better offensive line, do you guys feel that Justin Fields is still the guy to lead this franchise? And I'll start with you, Austin. I mean, Isaiah. Sorry.
I do. I definitely. I've been singing Justin Fields' praises this whole time, man. I'm a big believer still, because he does stuff, man, that other people can't do, and it's obvious, right? It's just, he's making young mistakes still. That's just that's it's standard for a young quarterback. But some of the plays he makes are like who else in the league can make, other than like a Lamar Jackson or guys like that are making the plays he's making. So you surround him with a good O-line and a couple more weapons on the outside, I think you're going to see a whole different theme that you're going to start saying when it comes to Justin Fields.
For sure. How about you?
Yeah. And I think that, like, and just kind of started with everything, I really felt like the Thursday night reporters were really, hammering in on Justin Fields, specifically Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I couldn't disagree with his analysis more. I think that sometimes people see Justin Fields being extremely good with, like, on the ground, running the ball. And sometimes I feel like they try to, like, push him into a corner with other previous running quarterbacks that failed, where he's like, oh, he's only a one read guy, which just isn't true. That's just a factor at this point. I think Justin Fields is a good passer. He does all the hard things extremely well, and he does all the easy things sometimes, like, pretty poorly. And if I'm drafting a quarterback, like, I don't see a quarterback in the draft that I would rather have right now more than Justin Fields, surrounded with a lot of talent, right? So yeah, I still have a ton of confidence in Fields. I think it's what's weird is everyone was saying how bad the Bears have surrounded Justin Fields with talent before the season, but as soon as the season starts, it's all of a sudden Justin Fields' fault. And it's going to be difficult to go through. We're going to face a lot of national media criticism, but I mean, 2 guys that also faced a ton of national media criticism last year, Jalen Hurts and Tua, and I mean, look at them now. They've both really, shattered expectations for what the media placed on them. This isn't a Trubisky situation in the slightest.
Definitely. I love what you just said, Austin. He does the hard things well, but the easy things not. Like, that's the perfect analogy of him. And as we all know, the easy things you can fix. Those are things you can fix, man. When to go to your check down, how to take care of the ball. Those are things that coaches can fix easily.
Yeah. And is it a coaching question? I think that also brings into question, like, how well have the coaches prepared him for this season? Right. Like, I like Getsy, but I mean, you do kind of wonder, like, how, where is he at?
But same thing with the coaching staff, though, right? And you could say the same thing for the, how we were saying with Fields, that we didn't surround him with talent. Same thing for Luke Getsy. He inherited a squad that doesn't have talent across the board, right? So, for example, that play where Justin Fields missed Ryan Griffin, that was a great play call. Just have to execute.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. Obviously, Ryan Griffin could have actually ran. It looked like he was side shuffling when he's trying to catch the ball. But at the same time, Justin Fields missed him, and that's what it looks like, right? So I think there is times where Luke Getsy is doing his best with the players that he has. There's a couple of head scratchers from Luke Getsy, but I think what he has at the moment, he's doing his best. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, he's somewhat handcuffed with what's going on in the situation, right? He knows he has a quarterback that's young, and he knows he has an offensive line that won't block. So he knows he has to get the ball out quick. Yeah. So the calling is, it's not going to be the typical plays that he's used to, running. So it's unfortunate, but they'll figure it out at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with everything you guys said. So, Austin, what are 3 keys to a Chicago Bears win against the Patriots on Monday night?
So the first one, we need to limit turnovers. I mean, if we start turning the ball over, fumbles, play good special teams. I guess we should, that could be looped into this. Don't fumble the ball in special teams, because that's created 2 of our losses so far. Or don't fumble the ball when you catch it on a, you're driving down the field 2-minute drill situation. That also contributed to another loss. So we can't do that. Okay, that's a good start. Second thing, and this may sound simple, but for this Bears team, it's proven not to be. When you get to the red zone, score touchdowns. You got to score touchdowns, right? You can't. I mean, what's even worse than not, getting the field goal is not putting your players in a good enough position where you're handing the ball over to the other team, right? And I am afraid of that. I do worry, and I hope that N'Keal Harry is that big body guy. You can ISO him, and kind of, if he gets it, just throw it up to him. As we kind of saw with Jimmy Graham a couple of times, the Bears have really, really, even over the past, 6-7 seasons, lacked a guy that's able to do that. And then finally, we kind of echoed this earlier on the show, play aggressive defense. Like I truly feel like we need to get pressure on Mac Jones to win this game. And I don't have a ton of faith that our front 4 is good enough to do that.
For sure. How about you, Isaiah?
One key for the Bears to win is to be able to stop the run. That has been an Achilles heel for them this whole season. I think they have to consistently do that this week. 2 would be offensive line, giving Justin Fields some time to make those throws downfield. Like we spoke of earlier, Bill Belichick's going to make him throw in the pocket, so he's going to have to be able to step up and have that time to make those down the field throws. And then the third one, man, is for the playmakers on the outside to win the one-on-one battles. When you get a chance to be one-on-one, man, you have to win your battle. You have to win your matchup. That's the only way the offense is going to have any type of success, because Bill Belichick, he's a man-on-man defense kind of guy. He's gonna go one-on-one on the outside. He's gonna bring pressure up the middle. So if those guys are not, winning their matchups, then it's gonna be a long day for the Bears.
Right. And do your job, make plays, execute for each other. Right. And you guys kind of honed in on all my 3 keys to a Bears win: finish in the red zone, contribute on special teams, which seems like to be a problem. Right. 2 of our losses, like Austin mentioned, have been muffed punts. Right. And then turnover-free football. Obviously we got rid of Amir Smith-Marset. He is no longer on the team, which is kind of a bummer. I thought he would have, maybe young guy, maybe we can develop him a little bit. But yeah, finish in the red zone, contribute on special teams, and turnover-free football. And it's going to be a tough game, right? The Bears are going to have to play clean football and execute for each other to even have a chance to win this football game, right? I feel like these are 2 teams going in 2 separate directions. The Patriots, I know it was not Mac Jones out there, but they are on a winning streak right now. The Bears are on a losing streak. So we have to see what happens. So like I said, this whole podcast, it's going to be a tough game for the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, but hey, go out there and just do your best. And hopefully good things happen for you. But Isaiah, before we end today's pregame show, give us a score prediction for this game on Monday night. It better be good too. Better be good.
You guys are gonna hate me on this one, but I'm me, I'm a realist. I think I'm gonna go. I'm going 24-10 Patriots.
All right, that's the end of this podcast. Thanks for watching. All right. Hey, okay. So you said 24-10.
24-10, man.
You're only giving the Bears 10 points. You just gave them 20 like 3 weeks ago.
And
to be fair, we did just score 7 points on arguably the worst team in football. So
what did I tell you though, Isaiah, a couple weeks ago? You remember what I told you? I said I don't like giving Bears more than 20 points. I don't even like giving the Bears 20.
Right. At this point, you can't. There's
you
no
can't.
reason. No, you cannot give them more than 20. If you do, then oh man, that's not a recipe for good mojo, man. They're not looking good scoring more than 20 right now. So you got to just take what it is.
Hell, I think that if we scored over 30, the city might throw a parade.
We
might get a banner for that.
We would. Yep. So 24-10 is Isaiah's prediction in favor of the Patriots. But how about you, Austin?
Yeah, and I think, going through this podcast, I think all of our keys to success for this Bears team, I think they're all great keys. And the fact of the matter is the Bears just haven't done pretty much any of those that we've said so far throughout the entire season. Unfortunately, I would love to predict a win. Like I really would love to, and I'm going to be super excited. You know, I'm not a Bears doubter or any means. I'm super optimistic all the time, but unfortunately I have to do 23-14. I think that the Patriots will score a couple touchdowns. I think they'll get a lot of field goals. And I think, I think we'll try to be aggressive in the red zone, but we'll only get it in a couple times. So yeah, loss for the Bears, unfortunately.
Oh, man. I'm gonna have to be that guy, huh? I'm gonna have to be that guy. I went against the Bears maybe two. Was it against Minnesota?
Minnesota was the only time you took
I took Minnesota, and that hurt my soul. It really did. It's almost like, when I do my weekly picks, it's almost picking the Packers. It irks my soul that I have to pick them sometimes, right?
Yep.
But I'm going to be the lone wolf here. Something has to give because the Bears are driving the football. They just can't score in the red zone. Something has to give. Something has to give. Maybe this is the week. And I think that's why some people don't like listening to my podcast, because I'm very optimistic all the time and very positive, and sometimes I'm not realistic. I'm gonna give the Bears the win. I'm not gonna say a score though. I'm just gonna say the Bears win. I'm not gonna give them anything. I'm not gonna say a score. I'm just gonna say the Bears win somehow.
I like it. Yeah, I will say, I think if it's a sloppy game, like if this game gets sloppy, anything's on the table, right? That's just how the NFL sometimes shakes out. So you never know. I think that I think there is a realm of possibility where this happens.
The point I do want to bring up about this team is they kind of do make some okay second half adjustments.
Yeah,
it's been consistent. So hopefully that can continue, man, because that Vikings game didn't look good in the beginning, and they came out pretty well.
And here's the thing for the Patriots, right? If the Patriots are winning the game like 7-6 at halftime, they're screwed. Like you said, we do make second half adjustments. It's just about how are we going to kill ourselves today is the motto of this Bears team so far.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, except maybe, in the Minnesota game, we got outplayed in the first half, but we didn't get outplayed in the second half. But I don't really see any of these games where we got outplayed. Maybe Green Bay, yeah, because that's Green Bay. But other than that, I don't really feel like we got outplayed for a full 4 quarters. So I don't know. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday, anyone could be beaten, right? But I'll be the lone wolf. Hey, I picked them on my weekly pick, so I can't pick them on my weekly picks and then come on here and I pick the Patriots, So I'm going to stick to my gun. And if they do come out and win, I'll be a very happy Bears fan on the next podcast that we record.
And what I can say is that this Bears team, weirdly enough, there's a very realistic scenario if we went back in time that this team could be a winning football team right now. If a couple things bounce our way, that could happen. And I like what you're saying, and I kind of emphasize this on my podcast too, that this is arguably and it's almost sad to say, but one of the best offenses the Bears have had in the past 4 years, red zone to red zone, right? Between the 20s, they're not bad. They're actually not a bad team. But as soon as I sometimes I have more confidence in us scoring outside of the red zone than I do when we get on the goal line, which is just crazy to think about, right? But hopefully something clicks.
Yeah. And it's funny that you bring that up, 20 to 20s, right? We're really good. There are sometimes where we'll have big plays, and when Mooney have a big catch, and my dad will be like, stay on your feet and score, or we get a fumble recovery, go score. Because good and well that we're in the red zone. Hey, you're basically fucked. I'm sorry.
Or Justin Fields' run. I mean, he went out at the 2-yard line or something. We had 4 tries. We couldn't I know there's a lot we could say, oh man, and that was pass interference, Mooney dropped, whatever. You had 4 opportunities to win the game at the 2-yard line, and we blew it. And the other thing is, we also, especially with that Commanders game, I also like what you said is, we looked like the better team in the entire game, in my opinion. It's just they scored when they were supposed to score, and we didn't score when we were supposed to score.
That's it. That's it. We just didn't execute our opportunities. That's the game. That's the game. Red zone struggles is definitely the game. You're absolutely right about that. So before I let you guys go, any last words on this matchup against the Patriots?
Man, just say your prayer.
Hey, you guys picked the Patriots. I'm the one that got to pray. You know, like
I'll be happy if we just limit turnovers and Justin Fields looks good. I don't necessarily need to win the game. That's not what the season's about for me. But if Justin Fields looks good, performs well, gets a couple, just please put up a couple touchdowns for one game this season. That would make me very happy.
I agree.
Well, Austin and Isaiah, thank you once again for coming on Geek on the Mic to do a little pregame action with me. It's been a good time. Like I said, we need to get on Austin's podcast as well.
Yeah, certainly.
You know, so I don't have to do all the work, right? No, so he can do all the editing, right? So, but once again, thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, we'll be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't